I have been grown up next to the Baltic Sea, and usually people just like things that they have learned to love. In that sense, now I have seen the sea and learned to know the creatures, and I know that it's a really special sea compared to all the other seas around the world because of the brackish water nature. So in that sense, I just have to say that it's the sea that I know, and that's why I like it.
The main reason is probably that it's a gateway from Finland, the sea gateway from Finland to the rest of the European countries and the world. It's the only way we can get out to the Atlantic, and so it's through the Baltic Sea. And then, of course, as a biologist, the Baltic Sea is a very important and interesting area, natural area, and very rare actually, because it's a brackish water sea. So that was two main reasons for me liking the Baltic Sea. But of course, recreation and everything. So it's very important to have Baltic Sea in good and proper condition.
Baltic Sea is very important for me. Yeah, I have been born at the very coast. It's a part of me as a scientist, also as a citizen in Finland, in one Baltic state. It's very, very important that we take care of the Baltic Sea, because the condition of the Baltic Sea at this moment is very much a question of what we are doing or not doing.
I do like the Baltic Sea, and it's an essential part of not only the nature of the Baltic Sea region, but also straight for economic life towards West, towards West European countries, as well as Central European countries. It's a very essential waterway for us.
Here in the museum we monitor the different bird populations in Finland. And for example, the waterfall that we have in here, they are monitored in different places, also in the archipelago of the Baltic Sea, but also in the catchment area of the Baltic Sea, where the most of the water are coming to the Baltic. And in these areas, there are different censuses annually done, especially in the springtime and in the early summertime, to estimate how the breeding populations has been changed during last decades. And what we have found in our results is that several waterfall species are declining, and they have declined especially during last 10 years. And we are a little bit worried about there are different what is causing these changes, and they likely also reflect the condition of these water systems, like also the Baltic Sea. So many of these species are declining, and it's a bad sign, and definitely there should be something to do about it.
The topic DDT and PCB are now new substances has been my headache. I have seen what they have brought about on a population level in a top predator. I have also been working with seals. When we started, we had some knowledge about the seagull, of course, and we were very worried about would about the future of the seagull, and in fact we were afraid of its extinction, both here in Finland and also in other regions of the Baltic Sea. But we decided to start a research project, a protection project, and just to investigate the ecology and population dynamics of the seagull in order to get to find out what is going on, what's wrong. We knew, of course, that it was persecuted since many decades before, but there was something else. It was just like a black, diffuse black cloud. No one really knew what was wrong. And then we tried to split up the problems in ways that we could analyze. But we also, the very first winter, we started with winter feeding, just to provide the seagulls with poison-free meat during the bottleneck period of its annual life.
Maybe the biggest problem is our eutrophication of the Baltic Sea. I think it's too much nutrients coming to the water from agriculture and then from rural and towns surrounding Baltic. And then of course another threat is the traffic. More and more oil ships are passing through Baltic, and there's always a risk of oil catastrophe. And the third would be maybe, yes, of course, pollution. Unfortunately, still a lot of poisonous stuff comes to the water and creates problems for the animals and nature of the Baltic.
And we are very worried about what will these big plans on new windmill plants and parks, what will they mean for the seagull? And we have very clear examples from Norway on what happens when, although the seagull expertise said you should not build any windmill in this area because it's central for the seagull. And they built 68 windmills there, and they started to produce electricity in 2005. And up till now, the last figure I got, that 38 seagulls has been stroken by the windmills.
So I think that actually the biggest threat are the human life that we now carry, because everything, all the problems that the sea has actually originate in our own behavior and the manners, and that we want to buy more things and consume a lot of things. So I think that originally everything finally ends to us humans and how we live our lives here. So I think that I cannot pick only one physical threat, but I think that we should travel a bit further back and maybe take a mirror and look ourselves how we can influence the Baltic Sea and the situation there.
It needs tremendous efforts from the government of Finland as well as the Baltic countries, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Russia, Sweden, Poland and Germany. Very necessary is that the Baltic Sea region strategy will be developed together with the EU and the Russian Federation. And that means that until now it has been a strategy just for the the Baltic Sea member countries, EU member countries, and Russia has been excluded from that strategy and preparedness of that strategy. So it's necessary to include the Russian Federation in that process, and that will open the way to political solutions and also financing those necessary researchers and also studies to improve then the quality of water. And it means investments within the country, I mean on the mainland of the countries, and then also to those harbors which are, let's say, serving the area, the countries, and then industries within them.
I think the main thing that should be done is that the politicians should listen to marine biologists, because they know the reasons why the state of the Baltic Sea is really poor. So they should be listening the biologists, and then, because the problems are known already, which are causing the, for example, the eutrophication, the spread of the alien species. Now we just need acts. People would really do something, not just talking and acting for helping the state of the Baltic Sea.
If we need a change, and we need a change to influence the Baltic Sea and the situation there, so we just have to get people to do things, not only think positive, but also react and do things. But I think that we have to work on very many fronts. So we need the political decisions that give us the guidelines to follow, but we also need that we educate and tell people and get them react, not only know more, but also feel more and do things more. So in that sense, we need also this educational side so that we can influence the people to change their behavior as well.
What I have learned during 50 years of studying the sea eagles, and when I have seen how a very awful situation has changed into one kind of success. So I think the deepest learning is you should never give up. You should never lose your hope. All those, everything looks back and difficult. You should never give up.
Well, I think that we have to minimize the inflow of nutrients to the sea. I think that would be the most important task.
The map is also illustrating the different river basins of the Baltic Sea region, and illustrating that the river basins are crossing a lot of national and regional borders. If this problem has to be tackled, then it has to be in a multi-scala, multi-sectoral action, and therefore, of course, cooperation at different levels and in different geographical contexts is very important.
Well, to quite a large extent, I think I would share David Sweet's enthusiasm about the strategy, even though the perspective that we are taking from the Baltic Sea Region Programme's point of view is necessarily a bit different than from the top level Commission's point of view. So we are rather thinking about what is the added value for our actors and of course for this type of cooperation. So the first point I would like to mention is that by the strategy we think that cooperation has become mainstream. Mainstream means not in terms of mainstream objectives of cohesion policy maybe, but mainstream in terms of ways of working together.
Has been launched together by the Commission and the Swedish government, the Green Transport Corridors. I think that in the future we might see very interesting developments of possibly a network of green multimodal transport corridors in the Baltic Sea region as a joint effort of the Commission, the national governments and all partners involved in such a thing.
I think education is the key for all companies, and it's the need for the biggest need for the companies in the Baltic Sea region to develop a better education system, especially in the vocational training, and by this to ensure competitiveness for the companies in the region.
Russians were involved from the beginning of the Baltic Sea Region Interactive Review Program in the project. There are 38 projects with participation of Russian organizations. The Russian organizations were more actively involved, and it was planned they will be actively involved also in the project implementation and evaluating the project outcomes.
Now we have very extensive animal production in Belarus, and we have seen so much. It's main cattle breeding farms where it's very huge amount of 1,000 units of cattle and also animal units, and also pig industrial farms. It's still from Soviet time we have such big agriculture industrial complex, and the problem with manure handling and also with utilization still existing. And we think about the problem of transboundary pollution from our territory to Baltic Sea through our main rivers Daugo, Nemunas, and also Western Bug connected to Vistula Basin. We make assessment of agricultural methods across the Baltic Sea region together with our lead partner of Finnish Environmental Institute.
Stresses and underlines the importance of energy saving and energy efficiency in Russia, exchanging the experiences in the country's participants. Also very important for us, 1 year ago the new federal law on energy efficiency was adopted in Russia, and we are working on strategy in the field of energy efficiency, working at new norms and standards. So technology exchange is very important here too.
So, quickly about the content of my presentation. I will firstly present you the focus of the fourth column, then I will give you an overview of the remaining funds and co-financing rates of the program, then shortly some sort of the more general expectations we have towards projects, and then I will give you an overview of the dates, the timetable of the fourth.
We must remember that about 1/4 of the whole of the EU budget is spent here. This means that more than 100 billion euros between 2007 and 2013, whereas the budget of the Baltic Sea region program is only 0.2 billion. euro, or the same span of implementation. One might ask how a flea can change the running direction of an elephant. Of course, by biting at the most vital and sensitive parts of the jungle. This is not the time to analyze the differences of the strategy or program more deeply. In fact, it is more profitable to consider what these mainstreams are from the point of view of the hinterland, from the point of view of the land of frost and ice. It is more than obvious that maritime issues, quality of water, algae, maritime safety and so on, are at the top of the list of the fishing industry and coastal regions, as well as people living near the coastline. The standard of living and economic growth may be seen as secondary or even tertiary issues.